Okay, good evening, everybody, all of you who have tuned in. Thank you very much for tuning in to our Investor Studio segment. Today, we have a very special guest, Mr. Thoo Chow. He is the Executive Chairman of Notion VTec Berhad. Now, just before we begin, I just want to make sure you guys can hear us well. If you can give us some comments, can you hear myself? Just mic check. Mr. Thoo, you want to say something?
Yeah, can you hear us well?
Yeah, so we'll wait for some of the comments to come through before we proceed. So today we actually have Q1 2021 analyst briefing. Yeah, so if you're already a shareholder, then you can. I mean, you might also be very interested to be tuning into this. Loud and clear. Thank you, Patrick. Thank you, William.
Thank you.
Ken, thank you. All right. Okay. So let's begin. So what we're gonna do is, as usual, what we're gonna do is we're gonna start off with Mr. Thoo doing an introduction or an update on Notion VTec's latest financials, which you can download. It was announced yesterday, and of course, and then at the end, at any point in time, if you guys have any Q&A, just punch it in the comment section below, and then we'll jump into the Q&A segment. All right. So, Mr. Thoo, over to you. Welcome.
Yeah. Good evening, everyone. Thank you. Just before we start, disclaimer obviously is most important. This is a presentation. It's just for general information, not financial advice. So, if you need any financial advice, please consult your professional who can help you in financial advice. Okay. We will be sharing some internal management targets. So bear in mind those are internal financial targets, right? Not meant for it's purely for information. Yeah. Okay. I'll look and let's continue into Q1. Q1 actually is from October to December of 2020. Okay. Yes. Our financial year always ends on 30th of September. So Q1 is our October to December quarter, and we'll talk about the outlook and some idea of what's coming in the coming quarters. Okay. Q1, our sales came down from about 70 million in Q4 last year, down to 65 million, mainly because of seasonality in EMS sector. When they're changing models, they do come down. But we are very confident that the EMS sector will continue to grow. We have new customer in that space, and it will grow very strongly. Okay. In the quarter, we had a reasonable gross profit of about 15 million. So if you compare Q4 to Q1, the main difference is Q4 we have an insurance proceed that came in of about 14 million. So operationally, actually Q4 of last year was actually we were in a loss, but in Q1 we are positive profit after tax about 3 million. If you look at the comprehensive income, actually we had another 30 million. That mainly from fair value of the digital assets, mainly consisting Bitcoin and Ethereum. Actually, as we have discussed in our commentary in the quarterly. Okay, on the segmental information, obviously HDD came down about 10%. Auto steady at about 21 million. Camera steady at 2 million. EMS came down by about 4 million. And PPE about 6 million. So making 65 million. Okay. I will discuss the Q2, Q3, Q4 for financial year 2021 later in the slides that come. We will give you some idea of what to expect in the coming quarters. These are our internal target, management target. In Q2, we expect In fact, our Q2 is ending this month, right? Now we are in the month of March. So January to March 31st is our Q2. So we are only about another 15 days away from our ending of Q2. And we will share the announcement for Q2 should be sometime in May, end of May, about 28th of May, I think. We have a meeting on the board to consider Q2. Our core metal business, which is our precision machining and the rest of the business, we think we can do. We are targeting 70 million. PPE will be about 32 million, so ending for the period will be 102 million. The assumptions are below it. We are currently able to get supply of about 800,000 boxes to about 1 million boxes a month from a major supplier, glove supplier. So we are able to rebox it into our 𝐕𝐴 brand for export market principally. Okay, the sales are pretty robust. Q3, we're expecting a slight growth in our core metal business to about 75 million. And PPE will be about 104 million. Total for the quarter will be 179 million. You compare that to Q1, it's about 3 times what it will be in Q1. Yeah, the assumptions are all below that. You can the slides we will later post it. Yeah,
Sure. Yeah.
I'll link it up for you all and you can have a look at that. Q4 will be the most. Q4 will be most exciting. We will be ending. That's when our glove manufacture 3 lines will be operational already. The first line we're testing out in April. They are physically about 80 to 90% completed. First 3 lines. We are currently working on line 4 and 5 and 6. So we will have those between May and October, 1 line coming out per month. Each line is designed for 20 million gloves per month, which is about 200,000 boxes of 100 pieces per month. The average selling price is all below in the assumptions. So in Q4, we hope to do in the metal business about 80 million. PPE will be 173 million, consisting both of trading as well as our own manufacture of the glove. In which case we total it to be 253. Now I put in one more segment there, which is commodity metal trading. You know, recent days we have announced the setting up of a Ocean Pacific Limited based in UAE, an offshore company, mainly for trading of large commodity trading offshore to offshore. It doesn't come onshore to Malaysia, so purely between export ports to import ports, mainly into China actually. Okay, I missed out this chart. This is a chart that summarizes the Q1, 2, 3, and 4. The yellow one are the final revenue for each quarter. So you can see an increasing trend for this financial year. Yeah, these are purely management targets. Whether it pan out correctly or not, I'm not too sure, but we hope that it will work out that way. Anyway, these are our own internal targets. Yeah, so you have to take it with a pinch of salt. Now, a lot of investors are a little bit puzzled. Why are we having a multifaceted strategy? The world is actually has been transformed because of the pandemic. We've never seen an event that's so drastic and so that it affects our health as well as the economy of the world, right? So the greater risk is not taking any risk. In a world that's changing really quickly, the only strategy that is guaranteed to fail is not taking risks. It's by Mark Zuckerberg, right? So even though we are in a COVID vaccine year 2021, I think there's still a lot of doubts about when we can open the national borders and have normalized trade and travel. And still, we have a lot of possible trade war between China and USA that we read about in the media. So all this uncertainty making it difficult for businesses like us who are really into export market. And we are in three segments, right? HDD, auto, and EMS. So really, we are affected by world economic conditions and market condition out there. If the market condition there is uncertain or affected, definitely one way or another we will be affected. So we have the board have embarked on this multifaceted strategy, not simply because we have nothing to do, but really we can't afford to sit and wait and use the old strategy and old business model and not consider new strategies. Some of the risks and opportunity we can share is that nobody is safe until everyone is vaccinated or immune. And vaccination, because of the lack of the manufacturing of suitable vaccines and the scale of the number of people, I mean, you're looking at about 70 billion people to be vaccinated. Even if it's 70%, you're looking at about 5 billion people, yeah. So it's not a small scale health scare, but it's a massive undertaking in every nation and every community and every society. Likely there will be delays in the health and economic recovery fully in 2021. And we're still in depression-like conditions. Yeah? Face masks and gloves are still needed for a long time. So a new initiative in commodity, metal, and energy trading will impact really FY 2022. Although we are already making contacts and making initiatives, I think it will impact more FY 2022, but possibly maybe in Q4 there may be some deals that will come through, hopefully. Yeah. So targets for 2021 financial year, our core business will be about 284 million. Our PPE segment will be 415 million. So giving us a total target of about 700 million. There will be, if we can achieve that, there will be a record for our company. Okay, so it's a very short briefing this evening. So just to update you on what's happening within the company, and just to clarify so that a lot of question in your mind, so we will go to the Q&A then. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Thoo. And now notice there are a few questions here. Of course, for those of you who has actually tuned in with us from the beginning, this is the fourth time Mr. Thoo is back here in our studio to talk a little bit about, every quarter they've been back to kind of update investors on their business outlook and going forward as well. And of course, if you've missed any of those, do check out our YouTube channel where, all you do is just make sure you subscribe to our channel and turn on notifications. And whenever we have these sessions, it will automatically alert you. Also, these slides are actually available on our WhatsApp number at 0384082070. I repeat, 0384082070. So at the end of this show, you should be able to log on, just send a WhatsApp there, and you can actually download these materials as well. Okay, so we have a few questions that have come through, and we could also perhaps you have an hour here with Mr. Thoo. So of course, if you guys have any questions, please punch it in, and we'll go through one by one. All right. So this is a first question here from Nangka92. Okay, are the number of PPE and core business revenue estimated? Is that for future quarters? Are they based on existing book, or is it some of them based on existing book, order book?
They are my best estimate based on our forecast of the production of our own glove line to the best of our ability to deliver. There's no issue about sales selling the glove. I mean, the demand for glove is still very, very strong. That's all.
So are the projections based on order book? That some of them have you kind of order book and booked them already, or?
In the quarter one, I mean in quarter two, quarter three, I think they are in the order book.
Okay, so quarter four is still question mark. All right.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. The question here from CH Ang here. We understand that these numbers that you have projected, are they internal targets, right? I'm sure they are internal targets, management targets, right? Would you say these are conservative numbers, right? And have Notion been hitting its internal targets?
Good question. We try to be realistic in our projection. If you don't put it too challenging, obviously it's no challenge to the marketing team. But they are, we feel, realistic number. Our more worried is actually any delays to our manufacturing of a glove line that come on stream somehow delayed. That might affect the projection. Other than that, I think we are veering more on the conservative side.
So CH, I hope that answers your question here. Okay. So I have a question here from JC Hin. The question here is, what is your margin for your glove trading business? You mentioned $10 per box, right? Is that your margin?
Okay. It's kind of a sensitive question, but I can give you a broad range. It will for the trading of glove, we're targeting between 5 to 10% gross margin. But for our manufacturing glove line, we are targeting above 30% gross. Yeah.
Okay. So JC, I hope that answers your question here. Okay. I guess it's a follow-up question here from Sandra. Are you able to provide some detail or some kind of color in terms of your order book for your metal segment, your PPE segment, right? And of course, I think now you have a commodity metals commodity trading sector, right?
I think those are very sensitive information. I would rather that we do not share it at this point. It's high level numbers that we are sharing with you, and I think it's fair that we share with you high level numbers. Going to the details is a little bit more sensitive.
Or would you be able to give us a percentage of targeted versus order book example? Like, is it 50% of what was already targeted is already 50% order book?
The numbers that I show you, I think, pretty conservative numbers.
Conservative numbers, okay. Okay. Now, actually, I mean, if you guys have more questions, do punch it through. I think earlier there was a question when you first started. I think some of them may have missed it. You talked about your intangibles and Bitcoin and crypto, right? Can you give us an idea a little bit about that?
If you read our commentary, I think we did guide you as an investor. If we had a fire incident in 2017 in our main factory, so we had a lot of excess power, electrical power unutilized then. So the board considered at that point in time, what do we do when we cannot, we don't, it takes time to recover from the fire incident. We're going through rebuilding the factory. And meanwhile, what do we do? So one of the strategy was we looked at was into Bitcoin mining and Ethereum mining, which we did for close to more than 2 years. After that, we have since June 2020, we have since stopped because the difficulty went up, and the miners that we bought were quickly outpaced by the newer high terahash miners. So it was not profitable then. So what we did was after that is to do portfolio management. Yeah. So in terms of asset, at one time we were holding about 2 or 3% of our asset in crypto actually.
So now with crypto prices, skyrocketing,
we definitely have benefited from the rise in the Bitcoin and crypto market price rise with institutional adoption and a recent market in crypto world. Principally because of the pandemic. Without the pandemic, national government would not have gone into quantitative easing and massive stimulus packages and massive printing of fiat currency. So those two factors actually caused fears, and also the low interest rate environment caused fear in investors. Do they continue to put it in bonds where the rates are 1.5% or less than 1%, in some cases even negative rates, or they put into equity? But equity has been in a more than 10-year long cycle from 2009. So kind of what other asset can they put in? Gold seems to have been a good store of value, but gold's market cap is about 10 trillion compared to Bitcoin's market cap, which was only about 200 billion last year, but since then it has gone more than 1 trillion. But it's still 1/10 of that of traditional gold. And Bitcoin is being conceived and perceived to be the new digital gold. So that's why the price has gone up.
So do you remain bullish on crypto and Bitcoin?
If you follow the reading of the market, with a lot of institutional player like MicroStrategy, Tesla, Cash, Square, and a few other company PLCs that are investing, and also you have a lot of institutional hedge funds investing into Grayscale. It's a matter of time. I think with the network effect, you will see more institutional money going into the sector, and hopefully that it will boost that market. Yeah.
Thanks for that, Mr. Thoo. Okay, there are a couple of questions here. So the next question here is regarding the core metal business, right? Would you be able to share a little bit more on the core metal business, as in what's the direction? Is it EMS, automotive, cameras, right?
I think if you have been investing in Notion stock for for a period of time, you will have noticed from the year, let's say about 7 years ago or 8 years ago, and look at the revenue then and compare it to last year's revenue, you see only a band about 200 to 250 million sales. And we struggle to go above that level. Do you ever question yourself why is that happening? Excuse me. It's, it's simply because our business model are in industries that are in the first place is HDD, right? HDD is in the data center and the data cloud computer use, which is a growth segment. Camera segment has since been overtaken by the handphone camera. Automotive is kind of a very matured industry as well. So EMS was the only sector that could give us more growth. But in our EMS sector, we only have present only one customer, and we have grown it to one more customer in the e-cigarette segment, which we will see in financial year 2021. So even how we are going to max it out is we will have a tough time growing the business beyond 300 million with the current setup of precision machining, unless we change the model. Is that what investors want, to stick at 250 million sales every year? And with pandemic and the health uncertainty, I think if you are an investor, have you ever considered what is the average sales per head count? And if you look at it carefully, in our business model, I think in our group we have in Klang we have about 1,005 employees. In Johor, I think we have about 500. In Thailand, we have about 800. So in total, we have in the group about 2,005. And if you were to do the maths, the revenue per head, if I'm correct, is not more than 200,000 per employee. Now, some of the businesses that we are moving into are giving a lot more revenue per head, and unless you improve that metric, you will slowly find that you will be non-competitive and not be able to compete in the business sector.
Thanks for that.
That's my fair evaluation. So a lot of investors don't understand why is Mr. Thoo and the board considering all these new projects into face masks, into gloves, into commodity trading of metals. Why are we doing all this? We are trying to improve our metric of the revenue per head count. If we do not bring that up, I'm afraid the group's business model will be jeopardized.
Since you mentioned about face masks, in what you just mentioned, would you be able to give us some updates on where we are in the face mask segment?
Okay. The overall segment on the face mask is not as positive as I have painted in my earlier presentations, simply because we are hitting some issues on competition of cheap imports from China, where you can even get 20 cents or less per piece. And then you have our country having price control and restriction of export. And every national government, if you look, not just in Malaysia, they do not even have a standard of what is a good face mask. A good face mask must have got 3-layer in the 3-ply thing, with the middle layer being the melt blown, that can consistently guard against this virus. And if the national governments do not specify what is a good mask, any face covering, any handkerchief will work to be a face covering. So we in that scenario, it's a very difficult market to enter. Whereas N95, which is more for the medical segment, I think there is a better opportunity, because in the medical segment, nobody uses a handkerchief or non-qualified face mask.
So the standards are not clear, that's what I say.
It is a major problem, not only in Malaysia but in worldwide, and that's why you are seeing a lot of problem in the West, in America, in Europe. Why is it that even they wear masks, they're still having large numbers? I believe one of the key reasons is they are not using the right masks.
Okay, so I guess while we are on the topic of PPE, right? What, would you ever give us an update on the glove? What's your preparation? What stage of preparation? This is from JC here. At what stage are you in prep for the glove plant now?
Oh, okay. Our factory 3 is where we have cited the 3. In fact, in our earlier presentation, I think the quarter before, we said we will be going to do 9 lines in that particular factory. But having a relook at the water supply and gas supply and necessary to have warehousing for the glove, we finally decided it will be only 6 lines of 20 million pieces per month. So it will give us about 1.2 million boxes a month. And I think that's already, it doesn't make us a big player. We are just a very, very small player in that area. But we will be exporting it, and we have got all the certification for European market. Plus, we are working out a deal. Hopefully, in the weeks ahead, we can clinch it. We will be leasing the first 3 lines in exchange for upfront lease money, where we will lease the line for 2 years at a fixed price. And although the margins will be slightly lower, but I think we take away the risk of the investment, where we get back our investment costs upfront and still have a reasonably good margin.
So in terms of the 6 lines that you mentioned, what stage are you at? Close to production?
Yeah, we are about 80-90% ready. They are installing the chain and the formers. The whole structures are all nearly ready. We will be able to test run in month of April, first line. So May, we hope to bring it into production, first line. June, second line. July, third line. And August, September, October, 1 more line each month. That's how we are pacing our production. I think we should be able to achieve that.
Okay, I guess that's why your PPE goes up at the tail end, right? Your targeted.
That's right.
Targets, right? Okay, while we are also on this, we've heard a lot of similar companies in the similar industries having issues with labor and natural rubber shortage, and they mentioned licensing. I'm not sure. Do you see any issue here with your labor?
At one time in the peak demand, say about 3 months back, the raw material called NBR, which is a neutral butadiene rubber, the raw material was pricing around 4,000 USD or more per ton. Since then, it has dropped back down to about 2,000 plus. So the pricing environment for the raw material and the supply, we will be getting it mainly from China and South Korea. We have made arrangement for all this, so that should not be a factor to worry about.
I mean, while we're talking about glove, do you see the ASP pricing, like, at what point would be sort of a break? Because you said if Notion is not a big player and quite a small player, is there a break-even point in terms of the average selling price of a per glove, or where they are today?
Our estimation of the cost of production should be around about USD about 5 to 5.5 USD per box with current NBR pricing. I don't think the NBR pricing will go up much. It should be around this sort of level. We hope to sell a lot more than that price. Yeah.
Okay. What's you mentioned $10 per box? That's the average. That was in the slides, right?
Currently,
is that's what they're at per box? 10 USD per box. Okay. And one box has 100 gloves, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So there are some questions on the EMS and the EMS sector here. So maybe I'll just put it up here on the screen. Vijay is asking, are you on track for talk about e-cigarettes and also EV orders for EMS?
I'll talk about the 𝐈𝐭𝐡. We have a contract for 2 years, sizable volume over the next 2 years. That's we have signed the contract. Okay, for the 𝐈𝐭𝐡. And it's a quite sizable actually. They're all priced in US dollars, so yeah.
Okay.
We'll be first stage. We will be putting in the tubing, but our extrusion plant, we should be able to extrude the tubing ourselves soon, and then the manufacture will be done locally.
When you say sizable, what's in your ballpark looking like?
$1 million USD per month.
Okay. So this was a follow-up question here. This part here, this Ken, this follow-up question here. Does the 𝐈𝐭𝐡 or e-cigarette segment give more than 30%? I believe gross margins.
Which one?
Does your 𝐈𝐭𝐡 segment give more than 30% margin, as it falls under manufacturing?
It's about EMS sector is about 25 to 30% gross. Yeah.
Okay.
We try and target the sector
On a gross basis,
but it's not across the board. I mean, sometimes we do have better, sometimes we get a bit lower. So we actually these are very sensitive information, because our clients also may be viewing the same sessions.
So based on the previous question, is there something that Notion's involved in terms of EV or electric vehicles, or which segment does it fall under?
I think we do not want to because we are under NDA, so we can't divulge too many.
Okay. So respect that. Okay. I think this is probably going forward. You talked about a commodity trading business, right? What commodity is it? Palm oil? Is it aluminium? What commodity is this?
If you look at our core metal business, we are actually a strong aluminium player. The new business that we're looking at under Notion Pacific, as well as as well as we are activating one dormant company called Swiss Impression for purpose of bringing this commodity to Malaysia. It's a matter okay, I think I can share it. Okay. We will be looking at copper cathode, copper ingot, copper wires as well, recycle. Yeah.
So the main commodity is copper. I mean, now with copper prices
copper
going
is
up,
one of the commodity we will look at. Currently, that's the sector that we're looking at. Yeah. Because copper is in the green industry. You know, if EV, you're going to use a lot more copper, and the copper price has gone up to quite close to 9,000. I think on the LME is about 9,000. So we have signed up with some supplier coming out from Africa, and Europe side, Ukraine side, and Chile. They will be sourcing for supply from them, both for offshore to offshore, as well as offshore to Malaysia. Yeah.
okay, yeah. Okay, right.
And the Malaysia side one will be faster than the Ocean Pacific, because we are already looking at warehouse to warehouse the copper products.
Okay.
Believe me, some of these deals are pretty large. But against all this environment, although I'm divulging a lot of confidential stuff here, one of the key things a lot of people don't realize is we are seen to be a new kid on the block in terms of trading, in terms of glove trading, in terms of any trading. We were purely a manufacturer. So it's a very difficult exercise to try and convince our bankers that we want to play a role in trading. Consequently, we do find difficulty in getting bank support. So we have to extend our banking to other new banking players who have a better risk appetite than the current banks. So that's why in Q1 we actually were disappointed ourselves. We did have some deals, but we could not clinch it because we could not get the financial backing. Sad to say.
Okay. I think there were kind of two follow-up questions on this commodity. What is the potential profit margin for this segment? And trading margins are very thin for commodities, and 2% or less. And is there counterparty risk?
I do not want to comment on the percentage of profit margin, but we will have weighed the risk of the upside versus the risk downside.
Okay. Okay. I think maybe kind of trying to put all these questions together that in the same segment. I guess maybe it's a little bit of a continuation from the crypto.
We will hold it for as an investment, but you know, we are a growing company. We need financial funding, so So sometimes the business side is more important than the investment side. So we have to give priority to that part. So we may have to when the time we need the money, we will definitely have to give preference to our own business. I wish we have a lot of cash that we can put in there, but unfortunately we need cash for our all segment of our business.
So 5 years down the road, I mean, I guess it's quite a tough question. 5 years down the road in such a time of uncertainty.
5 years down the road, I may not be in the same seat. I may have retired and gone.
What would you say Notion's biggest revenue contribution segment will be?
I think year 2022, you will see our sales will be more than $1 billion, hopefully, multi-billion with all these new activities. We're not giving up on the metal business. We will be looking at more tie-up with some people who are, some players who have different niche customers that we are not able to penetrate. So hopefully that can bring more revenue to our metal business segment. And we're still looking at new technology all the time. Yeah.
Okay. Now this is another question on the metal side. How do you see the hard disk segment? What's the outlook for the next 12 months? Growing, shrinking, you know?
In our Q1, we saw some downward trend, partly also because of the RMCO. Right? Yes, it did affect us because don't forget, we had some cases of COVID in the group. We had about less than 100 cases where we isolated them following the mass testing as required by the government. But since then, it stabilized. We do not have any new cases. That also has impact on our production and shortage of labor. Yeah.
But is the outlook
undoubtedly right? On the outlook for HDD, I think still very strong on the cloud and data center. That should not slow down because digitization, internet is still a growth segment.
Okay, I guess like this segment is recorded on the cloud.
Yeah,
it's likely going to be stored on one of the hard disks that maybe is the or one of the parts will be manufactured by Notion.
SSD right? is still the price point for in terms of terabyte the cost per terabyte, I think is still in favor of HDD, definitely. Yeah. So price point does matters in this business.
Yeah. So you know, if there's any more questions, you know, please put it in. We know we can do a little bit more Q&A. We are almost an hour in. So if I didn't get that question in, download a copy of those slides. Don't forget to save our WhatsApp number at +603 8408 2070. Okay, I repeat, 603 8408 2070. You can download those slides after the end of this segment here. Okay, maybe a couple more questions here. When we talk about Notion's space in the metals and the hard disk business, does it include hard disk plates, or only spaces?
Oh, okay. In Klang, we are doing manufacture of hard disk drive component, two principal components. One is the spacer, the other one is the top clamp, the clamps, which the assembly, and then on the top, that's when they screw down the whole hard disk assembly. In Notion, Thailand, we do more than that. We do another component called the base plate. and we do it for the two major players. Yeah. Yeah. And those are more for the enterprise segment. Yeah. So we have three segments in the group. Three principal differentiating HDD components.
Are the spaces for both the players as well, or just one?
The spacers are mainly for one of the major one. The clamp also. But the base plate is for the both.
Okay.
We have an indirect account.
Okay, if there's no more questions here, I'd like to thank all of you guys here for signing in. And of course, Mr. Thoo, thank you very much for the time to be here, to engage your investors here. I think we look forward to having you next quarter.
Yeah. We will see you again in the March quarter, which we will announce end of May. I think it's May 28th, a Friday. We will release our accounts, and then the Monday we will have another session with you.
Okay.
Yeah. So we will follow up on whether what I projected is accurate, whether it's positive or negative from that target. We'll see. Okay.
Seems quite positive. Okay, all right. Thank you very much, all of you guys, for signing in. We'll see you in May. All right. Thank you very much. Goodbye and good night. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Evan.